Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. The honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Salutations to the sincere Akim and Akwath. Listen, may the blessing of election be over your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with another lesson. And for today's lesson, the topic is what is Newspeak, right? And something that inspired me to do this lesson is a topic that something that I was just recalling an account of something that my dad had mentioned to me, in one of our conversations. And one of the things that these people use, their tongue is a sword and it's a weapon, right? When you deal with these elites, when you listen to the rhetoric on TV, the presentations that they give, they use these clever, conniving words to entrap you people, especially us Israelites, right? So what I'm going to do is go through an article explaining what it is and then bring in a couple of precepts. And, Yahweh Ratasa, this would be an edifying lesson. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, so this is thoughtcode.com. So it says Newspeak, right? So Newspeak is a deliberately ambiguous and contradictory language used to mislead and manipulate the public. In this general sense, the term Newspeak is usually not capitalized. In George Orwell's dystopian 1984, Newspeak is a language devised by the totalitarian government of Oceania to replace English, which is called Old Speak. Newspeak was designed to shrink vocabularies and eliminate subtleties, right? So, as a matter of fact, hang on. One precept actually comes to mind. I think it's Matthew. Salakia brothers. Okay, so this is Matthew chapter 5, verse 37. And it reads, so the KJV, it says, let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay, for whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. In the NLT, it reads, just say simple yes, I will, or no, I won't. Anything beyond this, so this is Yahweh Shai speaking, is from the evil one, right? So, this is the one of the tools of Satan that they use to entrap us people, right? Entrap us Israelites, especially with their rhetoric, their unrighteous decrees that it speaks about in Isaiah chapter 10, because they create these and they use all these different words to entrap and ensnare us. And it's sometimes when you listen to what they're saying, it sounds like it's for our benefit, like the what we were going through in a couple of years ago with this whole C18 plus 1 booster juice, right? They posed it in a way that seemed like it was for our benefit, but really it was just for our downfall, right? But people don't look up words, right? All right, so continuing on, it says, where did I leave off? Okay, so here it says Green discusses how new Newspeak differs in method and tone from Orwell's Newspeak. Rather than shorten the language, it definitely broadened instead of curt monosyllables. There are mellifluous, calming phrases designed to allay suspicions, modify facts, divert one's attention from difficulties. Let's get I don't know what that word means. Hold on. Okay.
Mellifluous.
All right, so it says Sweet or musical, pleasant to hear. Oh, that's interesting. That's one of their tactics, right? So they come like in Revelation. If you read, as a matter of fact, let me grab that as my next precept. I didn't have that on the list, but this came to mind. Uh, Okay, so this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 11, and it reads, And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. So that beast is referring to this revised Roman Empire system, which takes the form of NATO and, and the European Union, right? Originally, they were known as the Treaty of Rome, um, who had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon, right? Okay, so these two horns, they come in the form of the today they're known as the Democrats or the Republicans in the U.S. In Canada, they're known more as the liberals and conservatives. It's the same idea, right? Now, in ancient Rome, you had the exact same, how do you call it, setup, essentially, right? Back then, they were known as the plebeians. The plebeians were your regular Joe Schmo, your regular cobblers, fishermen, artisans, jewelers, so people on the lower echelon of society. And then you had the people who were known as the patricians. Now, the patricians were the upper echelon. Back then they were more like the Caesars. Your Nero, Claudius, Vespasian, Titus. These were your upper echelon in the people, right? So this is what it refers to in the two horns, right? Because you had the same thing back then. That which is then is now, and there's no new thing under the sun, right? And spake as a dragon. So it came in a very, um, um, meek looking, humble, like, actually seeming like they want to help, but, under the wolf, it's like essentially it's a wolf in sheep's clothing, right? So their intent is to destroy and get rid of you Israelites, right? So let's continue. So Newspeak, whenever a main purpose of language is to describe reality, is replaced by rival purpose of asserting power over it. Newspeak sentences sound like assertions, but their underlying logic is the logic of the spell. All right, so they're using words to cast spells on people. Underlying logic is the logic. Oh, okay, I read that. They show the triumph of words over things, the futility of rational argument, and the danger of resistance. Okay, so the purpose of Newspeak was to not only provide a medium of expression for the worldview and mental habits proper to the devotees of INSOC, but make all other modes of thought impossible. It was intended that when Newspeak had been adopted once and for all, that old speak would be forgotten. The heretical thought that is a thought divergent from principles of INSOC should be literally unthinkable, and at least so far as thought in is dependent on words. Let's see if there's anything more. So down here it says words matter. So essentially, brothers get the idea. Okay. Actually, there's some more down here. I want to read this part as well. This is interesting. Newspeak is the product of totalitarian control over semantics, history, and the media, more ruthlessly complete than any which has yet emerged in the modern world. In the West, the comparative freedom of the media has not necessarily clarified matters, whereas totalitarian semantic control may produce an unrealistic dogmatism, free semantic enterprise has resulted in an archaic tug of war, which terms like democracy, socialism, revolution become virtually meaningless because they are appropriated by all sections of legitimation and abuse. So essentially, it's a tactic used to create very vague language. When I say ambiguous, you know, uh, right? So it misleads people. And one of the how do you call that term? One of the terms that popularly come to mind is the whole anti-sem. I don't want to say it, but you know what I'm getting at. Because people don't know that's not a real word because there's no one in the Bible actually named Sem. The word is actually Shem, right? And when these words get tossed around, there's a vibration that comes with it because they think you're actually hating on those people in the land of Israel today, right? And that is not the case, right? The case is that that word doesn't actually exist. Sem is not an actual person. The name is actually a person called Shem, right? And when you really think about it and take a deep dive, we cannot be anti-Shemitic, anti-Sem, right? For calling these people out, essentially, for being bastards in the land, right? So these are things to also keep in mind. This is why it's important to look up words and go into the Hebrew, the Greek to get further understanding, right? Let's see. So let's see what the scriptures say on matters like these, right? Let's start at 7. Okay, so this is Psalms 10, verse 7, and it reads, His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud, and his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor, and the poor represents our people, because we're in that beggar state where we're always looking for something, we're looking for answers, we're looking for the truth. We think that establishing our own businesses would actually give us some level of comfort when we really just need Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and we need that physician, right? So we represent the poor in this society, right? Because we're at the bottom of the totem pole. Verse 9, and it reads, He lieth in wait secretly secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth to wait. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doth catch the poor when he draw him into his net. Right. So this is part of his snares and wiles and trickery. Right. So this is why it's always important to research and look up these words that that these people throw at you, because when you can break it down and you go into the etymology, it makes your sword sharp, right? The in Ephesians it speaks about putting on the whole armor of the Most High, that you be able to withstand what? The wiles, which means trickery, right? Verse 10, it reads, He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, in his mind, the Most High hath forgotten and hid his face, he will never see it. Right? So this is the kind of this is the vibration that these elites come in, right? They come up with all these different unrighteous decrees, and then you go through the legislation. It's just a way to entrap you Israelites, right? So what's important is to come back to the Heavenly Father and have him heal you and bestow that understanding, so you know how to fight against these wiles of the devil, right? Oh, I got another precept. Okay, this is Revelation 1, verse 3, and it reads, Blessed is he that readeth, he and they that hear the words of this prophecy and keep those words, and keep those things, Salakia, which are written therein, for the time is at hand, right? So this is important to, go through prophecies so you know what time you're in, right? And you're looking, keeping in mind what's going on in the news, and you're paying attention, and you go through the prophecies and you read more and more the accounts of of our forefathers and so on and so forth, that that it would help you to stay stable during these times, right? Just a little offshoot account I wanted to share quickly. I remember I had a conversation with my father one time, and he grew up in England in the 60s. And I remember one thing he told me was, there was a joke that always used to go around amongst, so-called black people. And there was one time, I don't know if it was a coworker that he had, but I remember him telling me, they used to make this joke, or somebody, I think somebody, or somebody told him, and they said, how do you hide money from a black man? And the answer is, you put it in a book, right? So it's I thought it was very interesting when he told me that, because it reminded me of, like, this is one of the things that these other nations do, because once they realize that you're in an ignorant state, they can take advantage of you, right? Once you stay disconnected from your power, they know how to take advantage of you, right? So this is why it's always important to constantly be reading and going through the scriptures, and and staying close to your power, drawing near to the Most High, and He shall draw near to you, right? So and that's what messes up our people, because they don't like to read. Reading is and these elites, these people know this, right? But anyways, I have one more precept, not to make this too long. I think it's Sirach 19. Okay, this is Sirach 19, or Ecclesiasticus 19, verse 26. And it reads, There is a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit, casting down his countenance, and making as if he heard not. Where he is not known, he will do thee a mischief before thou be aware. And if for want of power he be hindered from sinning, yet when he find an opportunity, he will do evil. Right? So, this is the kind of vibration that they give off. They come off and they wear these nice shiny suits on TV, and they tell you, I just think about it, how they were in the midst of the whole pandemic, a couple years ago. They're saying X, Y, and Z, and it seems like it's for your benefit, and they dress well, and their faces all shaved, and they look all nice and well done up. But within their minds, what they want to do is to get rid of you people. They want to get rid of you Israelites, right? So anyways, that concludes the end of my lesson. Hopefully this video was edifying. This is just to shine a light on one of the tactics that Esau and these elites do, and this is something to constantly be mindful of, right? So you know how to dodge those punches, those spiritual punches, when he throws them at you, right? So anyways, hopefully this video was edifying, and I just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this truth. Till next time, I say Shalom.